That now, so it's already on stage. So when you're done, just click that off. They probably hear me talking right now. So, music still playing? Mm-hmm. Okay, so there you go. So you just take this off after 2 minutes. We'll do 2 minutes. And then
both are
get
really
going, because we're already late. All right. So. Yep.
It's different than when Murph called me up.
Water. We get some water. Yeah, stage. Wow. Wow.
Jack, scale 1 to 10, how big of a pepper? 10, not a 1,000.
Alrighty. Ready to go.
Yeah. So you got your mic there.
Yep.
What about?
Water. Obviously, you're close to people here. If you want a microphone, this interfere with it.
I don't know. We could try it. That's all we could do.
Double mic. Gather around, folks. Gather around.
Yeah, we got it for the stream.
Come on in. Come on in. Come on in.
That'll work. Yeah. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Well.
That one too.
If you're comfortable with both.
Mm-hmm.
Check 1, 2.
This won't interfere with.
This should
interfere, correct?
If not, you could put it on your lapel. You could take that off.
I'm down.
Yeah. Let's do this. This and just put it on your neck. It clips.
Look at this. Okay.
Here we go.
Make sure that's
All right.
on. Testing. Can you hear this too? Just don't want to bury it.
Just put it right on the top. You should be
It
good.
is.
Yeah, right on the top right there.
Right
You
there.
should be good.
Should be good.
Yeah.
And check with him.
Alan,
See.
we good?
Am I good with this mic now? With this taken off?
You all ready to go? Alan.
We should be good.
All right, we're good?
Sweet. Ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, everybody, welcome to Collectors Con. This is a huge honor on our behalf to have the all-time leading rusher of the Green Bay Packers here in Eau Claire. So on behalf of Eau Claire, please give Ahman Green a warm welcome to Eau Claire. Give it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we are here amongst collectors. We're here amongst gamers.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your background of gaming and how we got to this point.
Oh, man. Long story or short story?
Let's start with a short story. Then we'll have some questions as well.
Short story is I got into Nintendo Entertainment System when I was around 8. And it was Tecmo Bowl, 10-yard fight, Super Mario Brothers duck hunt with the gun. And once I got good at Tecmo Bowl and 10-yard fight, my dad stopped playing against me. And then right before that, we had ColecoVision, so I had Donkey. And then I was collecting video games, right? Consoles and video games. I'm an old school hard. I gotta have the disc or the cartridge. I'm not too happy about digital, but if I have to download the digital, I'll download the digital. But then the collection of watches. I was a watch kid, even though it was like little G-Shocks or little Casios that probably worked for 5 minutes. I collected them. And then a shoe guy. And I was just telling you about my story, being fortunate enough to become a Brand Jordan athlete when I got to Green Bay in my 3rd or 4th year. Nike usually with all athletes and all sports, they send you a catalog. You just pick what you want, you know, and you have a limited quantity for the year to get for yourself and your family. Brand Jordan, they sent me the catalog, the same catalog that they send everybody. But then when I ordered one or two things for me and my wife and our kids, I'm a father of 4 girls and a daughter, and we got everything from the catalog. I was like, oh, babe, it's like boxes up to the top of the door. We can't get all over in the house right now. And I'm like, okay, let me check. So I called the people at Nike and was like, we just ordered a few items, like 10 items, but we look like we got the whole booklet. They were like, yeah, we send the whole booklet to all our Brand Jordan athletes. And I'm like, oh, so between collections, I got a lot of stuff. We were just talking, hey, I got a lot of shoes I can sell.
Anybody wear size 12?
I'll do it as a fundraiser for my foundation. You know, I could sign a shoe, whatever. From AJ1s all the way to, I think I went all the way to like 20, the 25s that was out. Wow.
And you had a lot of player exclusives, which is,
yeah,
you know,
a lot of Ps.
Michael Jordan handpicks you, and that's got to be a pretty big honor.
At that time, he was handpicking all the Jordan athletes, myself, Andrew Jones, that played for the Braves, Charles Woodson, Randy Moss, a guy you know very well. So, yeah, it was an honor and just a childhood, like, oh, my God, because from a basketball fan standpoint, that was one of my guys. You know, I watched him, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and it's like, I got one of my dudes, like, said, hey, I picked you to be on the Team Jordan. And it's like, oh, man,
that's impressive.
Doesn't get any better than that.
So let's go back a little bit. You talked about your favorite video games as a kid.
Yeah.
We have some young people in the crowd here. Talk about, you know, you ended up becoming a standout at Nebraska and then the all-time leading rusher for the Packers. Can you talk about, whether it's gaming or playing football, talk about your competitive nature, where that came from, how that relentlessness came about?
Well, I say, between my dad, you know, he was also a former football player. He played at a small college in Louisiana. He was an offensive lineman. He was 6'5", 315, tackle, and he raised a running back. He raised actually 2 running backs. My brothers were both running backs in high school, and one brother went into IT. The other brother became a police officer. The other brother that also went into IT, he went into the Army. And so that's where competitiveness between 2 older brothers who also played running back, roughing me up as a kid. I think I was 2 when my mom was at work. She was a bus driver in Omaha, Nebraska, and she comes home to her 2-year-old son with a dislocated shoulder because the 2 older brothers was throwing me around the living room thinking I could be like a Frisbee. And they found out Frisbees break this style. But yeah, and the doctor, and she actually, you know, in her panic, she actually put my shoulder back in socket and didn't know it. And so when we got to the emergency, the doctor was like, I think you probably might have put his shoulder back, you know, in socket. Good job. So that pain threshold, you know, one, from being a physical person, being on the football field, that got tested then, and I started to learn the process of pain. But then just competitiveness and knowing that if I'm down, so what? You know, if I'm down in the game, I'm gonna play harder to the end. You know, because playing Tecmo Bowl, right? That's how it is. And then obviously Madden, the way it's played today, and all the different adjustments you can do, is just the same. I use the same mindset when I'm on the football field. I still have a lot of fun. Something I did as a kid, I didn't know until some friends of mine pointed it out. We were playing throw up tackle. We were playing this in the neighborhood, and guys was like, Ahman, you know, you're smiling when you're like playing football with us and running us over, and you like got a big cheese on your face. I'm like, I do? It was like, and then one of the kids videotaped it, brought their mom's camera out and videotaped me running the ball, and I did. And I was like, what? I was like, well, I guess I'm having fun playing football and baseball and basketball and stuff like that with my friends in the neighborhood.
So that competitiveness kind of snowballed. At what point did you know football could be an option as a career?
I'll say at a couple of points in my life. One started young. I was in the 4th grade, and it was that day of school where it was my teacher. Her name was Miss Parker, and she wrote on the board, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And so everybody in class, I was like the 10th person to come up there. Everybody else was great, you know, astronauts, doctors, lawyers, librarians, everything. And then I go up there and I write professional baseball player and professional football player. And the first thing out of Miss Parker's mouth was like, no, that's too hard. You won't be able to do that. And I'm like, I kind of I blacked out. I don't know what I said. I don't know what I said, but I remember I got sent to the principal's office. So I was like, all right, lesson learned. Shut my mouth when, teacher's giving her a fact or opinion on things. But I knew I said that because I knew I could do it, because I had been playing baseball at that time, and overhand pitch. And I grew up in Los Angeles, California. A lot of people don't know that, even though I was born in Omaha, Nebraska. And being in the athletic world out there is very hyper competitive, just like being like in Texas or Florida or something like that, in a warm state, but a competitive state of a lot of kids my age. We are all battling, and a lot of kids got the opportunity to go NFL, NBA, from my neighborhood. So being around those athletes was I say fun, and every time on the football field or on the basketball court or on the baseball diamond, it was an experience. I learned something new, and the biggest thing learning right away was learning how to lose and how to cope with it and get better the next game from that loss.
Yeah.
Wasn't a whole lot of winning back then.
Well, I always tell young people you learn a lot more from losing than you do winning.
Way a lot more from losing than winning.
So let's talk about, you went to college at Nebraska.
Yeah.
And you dominated. You had fun. Talk about your experience in Nebraska, obviously Big Ten school.
Yeah.
A lot of history there.
Big 12, Big 8 when I was there.
When you were there, but now it's in our backyard, right? But we're all familiar with Nebraska. I remember Tommy Frazier.
Yeah.
Tommy Frazier was somebody I watched growing up. But can you talk about your decision to go to Nebraska and then your experience there?
Yeah, it wasn't. I'll say you say domination, but it was just more me learning where I could get better at the sport. And once I got to Lincoln, my thing was I'm on a championship roster. They won the national title just 6 months prior for me signing on campus. So I'm a young buck. There's nobody, a leader. Me being a leader was going to be far-fetched because I'm the youngest guy on the team. So they're not going to look up to an 18-year-old. They're 20, 21, 22, about to graduate or about to have families, go to their next career. So my thing was I'm going to just come in here and be a team player, because they got a starting running back. They got leaders on the offense. Our quarterback, Tommy Frazier, Lawrence Phillips, Clinton Childs on run game. Offensive lineman, Aaron Graham, Aaron Taylor. Defense was Tony Veland. Tyrone Williams, as you know, was a Packer as well. They had leaders. So my thing was, you know what? I'm going to just come in and fit in where I can. And if they need me on special teams, I'll go kickoff return, punt return. I'll try to block the field goals. But I don't want a red shirt. I could contribute year one. And I remember having that conversation with my running backs coach, Frank Solich, when he asked me if I wanted a red shirt. I said, Coach, I don't want a red shirt, but I'll fill in any position that you need me. I could be the punt returner and kickoff returner for the whole season. I have no qualms doing that, because I know at least I'm on and I'm learning from the older.
For sure. So we'll get back to some football in a second. I want to thank Gaming Generations. Thank you for having Ahman out here. Thank you so much.
Virginia in the back right now.
Very
Michaela,
nice. Thank
running
you.
around. Actually, Michaela's right there, over there. Thank you.
We'll talk more about gaming and obviously what's going on this weekend. You're signing here from 4 to 6 tonight as well.
And then my guy, Alan, behind the scenes.
Alan, thank you, Alan. Yeah, he didn't like it. He doesn't like it, but
here with
thank you for that.
Yeah.
You guys get your questions ready. We're going to do some Q&A with the crowd here at the end, but get your questions ready, all right?
Yeah.
Don't be shy. All right, we're going to talk about that. So after Nebraska, you get drafted by the Seahawks, right? And it doesn't go as great as you would hoped.
Yeah.
Things happen, but then you raise your hand if you're a Packer fan, by the way. Raise your hand here. So I'm a huge Packer fan. Went to my first game at Lambeau in 1997, the year after the championship. Here's Reggie White raising the roof. You got Brett Favre, Freeman, Dorsey, you name it, right?
Yeah.
So when they got you in a trade, I was excited because I was a big collector in 98, and I had some of your rookie cards, and I watched you in college. So then you get traded to the Packers.
Right.
Talk about the transition from the Seahawks to the Packers and how things just took off very, very quickly at that point.
The transition was, I say, being still young. I was 22 when I got traded here. And I kind of looked at it as this. I thought I was out of the Midwest as a jokey, right? I'm on the West Coast now. Weather was halfway decent. It wasn't California weather, but it wasn't Midwest weather either. Then I'm like, I'm going back to the Midwest. So I got blizzards and snow drifts and all this stuff that I thought I outran being on the West Coast. But it's like, you know what? Things happen for a reason. And I remember that first mini camp, I come into town and I got duped too, because
I flew from Seattle straight to Green Bay, and I was like, "Oh, straight! It's a straight flight from Green Bay, Wisconsin." So I'm like, "Awesome!" Thinking flying. I didn't know it wasn't. It was a stop in Minneapolis, and then to So that was the Packer touch on me on an easy flight. But when I got to Green Bay, that first first question in my head was, I wonder what the crowd is like. I wonder what the fans are like, right? Because I've been in Seattle. They were big city fans. They kind of were they were there for us if we were winning. But if we were losing, it was like, they were fickle. And so I was like, all right, I don't like that fan base. I like what I had at Nebraska. It was college. Hopefully that can happen again. And so when I get here to Green Bay, within a day or two, I found out right away, because I'm walking on the practice field and I see like at least 1,000 fans out on the practice field for practice. And so I'm like, okay, I'm in the right spot, because if they're out here just for practice. This reminded me of my days when I was at Nebraska, in Lincoln, Nebraska. Cornhusker fans would be out there for 2-a-day practices, watching us get ready for the regular season. And to us as players, it's just practice. There was nothing fantastic other than being one hot as all get out. It's hot as Hades, and two, there's no big plays other than when the defense gets the sack or something like that, because we had the black shirts defense and we could barely move the ball offensively. So it was no fireworks of offense or scoring a whole lot against our team in practice.
So then you come in, the teammates welcome you, I assume. New guy coming in, right?
They bring me in,
and then you have a couple.
I got comfortable because I learned when I was in college, when I would get nervous going into a game, right? Because remember, I said I was 18, fresh out of high school, no extra year, so I'm green behind the ears literally, and got all this. Man, I got people on TV watching me. I got my mom and friends at home watching me. It's on ESPN, right? So I'm thinking all that, overthinking things, and so I wanted to tune that back and not be nervous and anxious. So what I learned at Nebraska was try to put my mind in a place where I feel comfortable. And when I would think about when I was playing Little League football, Little League baseball in California, or even my few years in Nebraska where I played Little League football, that calmed me down. So I was playing relaxed and letting my game just come out. So when I got that part in my head, then I did the same in Lincoln. I just thought I wasn't playing Kansas or Kansas State or Oklahoma State, where I'm playing against a rival Creighton Prep High School, where I had a good game my senior year. And that right there helped me get that. And then teammates that were on the team, guys like Lawrence Phillips, Clinton Childs, Tommy Frazier, Aaron Graham, they took me in right away. They was like, they knew I was a freshman, but they treated me like I had been on the team for 2 or 3 years. In the huddle, the first game, the first home, and we played. Wasn't a big team. It was a Pacific, it was a kind of a warm-up game as sometimes games are set up. And I remember I get in the huddle and I look up and Aaron Taylor is yelling at me, "Ahman, freshman, we're going to get the ball scored right now." And I'm like, "Yes, we are, Mr. Taylor." I was like, okay, this is how it gets done. All right. I love it. And they had my back. They knew I was a freshman, but they saw that I learned real fast to keep up with the pace of how the game was played at that level.
Sure. So we got a lot of Packer fans here, of course. Can you tell us one of your favorite stories in game, something that happened that was one of your favorite stories as a Green Bay Packer?
Ooh, I got a lot of favorite stories on the field or in the locker room.
It's up to you. I don't know. What do you guys want to hear? We got some
man.
On the field. We've seen a lot of that. Of course, we all watch. Maybe some of the behind the scenes we've never seen.
Well,
keep it PG here.
I keep it PG. I know how to do that. So I'll say
on the field, first one. Year one, the Monday night game against the Vikings, unfortunately, if there's any Viking fans.
We're all Packer fans here.
So it was on the play that Antonio caught the ball that Chris Dishman thought had hit the ground, remember?
Yep.
So I'm on that play. I had a play action fake to the flat right under Antonio's route. And I was probably like 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. He was more like 10 yards up the field. But I saw the play happen where the ball went up. I saw Chris Dishman tip it and kind of went down his back like we saw it on TV. and then Antonio's on the ground and it falls right in his hands. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, it's only me and Antonio. I don't hear the crowd. I don't see Chris Dishman. I don't see the referees and the other players. I said, Antonio, run. You know, I'm like whispering to him. I'm like, why am I whispering? He can't even hear me. He's like 15 yards away. But then he gets up and runs into the end zone. So I'm like, to me, I thought that was hilarious because I'm like, I'm whispering to a guy that's like 20 yards away and he can't hear me. And then in the locker room, we had number 4. We had Brett, who is a big practical joker. And I just kept telling myself every time he practical joked me, that means he loves me a lot. And I think he joked me 3 times in my career being a teammate with him. So that means he really, really liked me. The first one was the jersey, my practice jersey. And so, of course, in the trade from Seattle to Green Bay, you know, Ron Wolf initiated it. And part of the reason why he initiated it was Mike Sherman. Remember, if he was the tight ends coach, offensive coordinator in Seattle in '99, which I was there with. And so he came over, became the head coach. And so now I was kind of like brought with that was I'm like his kid because he traded for me and we were in Seattle together. So I'm getting, you know, just like in high school, you become the teacher's pet. That's basically what it was. I was the teacher's pet now, but I'm like, no. So I come in my locker. Sherman is on my back of my jersey. And I'm sitting here like, I am not wearing this jersey. If anybody plays football, baseball, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not already the kids, your dad is not the coach, you're not wearing this jersey, right? And so I'm like, I'm not wearing this jersey. So I go to Red Batty, who's the equipment manager. He just retired last year, fantastic guy. And I say, Red, man, give me anything. Give me 00, 99. I am not wearing this on practice field today. He said, Ahman. He's like, he does this little rock. He's like, come on, you gotta wear it, man. I'm like, you're in on it. Suspect number 1. So I write down, taking notes, suspect number 1. All right, because I'm like, who's gonna do this to me? I just got here. I talk to my teammates. I don't tease them. I'm not mean to nobody. Who's picking on me? And I'm trying to be the quiet guy. I just got here. So suspect number 1, Red Batty. All right. So I go out to the practice field. We're at the Hudson Center, right? And then Coach Sherman, he can't even hide it. He comes up to me with this big smile on his face. You know, how you like your jersey, Mr. Green? I'm like, I don't, Mr. Sherman. I'm like, suspect number 2. I'm like, God, dog, the head coach too. And then Brett comes by me again. He can't hide the fact he's laughing already. And I'm like, dude, you must really like me because I picked up the blitz all season long. You've been barely touched. So I don't know what I did wrong, but you get this. He's like, oh, you'll be fine. Just wear it today, and you know they'll change out the nameplate tomorrow. I'm like, no, you wear it. You know, I'm like, man, you wear this thing. Sherman ain't my daddy. I got a dad at home. You know, so I find out Coach Sherman, Mike Sherman, and Mike Sherman, Brett, and then Red Batty were all in cahoots of sabotaging my practice jersey to go out there. And of course, they thought it was hilarious, but I wasn't. I wore my sweatshirt for the first half of practice, and then they made me take it off so they could see the Sherman on the back of the jersey. So I was like, all right, I got to let this out. So here we go.
So that's a great story. I've never heard that actually. Yeah. I could see Brett doing that. Brett was a prankster. It sounded like there's some not so PG pranks that happen over the years, I'm sure too. But,
yeah.
But so with that said, you know, you got in the groove. You became the all-time leading rusher, you know, Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Talk about what that was like being in front of the fans at Lambeau. And then as you're pursuing this, you know, it just becomes like second nature for you, or talk about like, you know, you just had such a great run with the Pack. Talk about that experience and what you enjoyed most about it.
Oh, what I enjoyed most about it, was the fan base because I had it in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that made it easy. You know, 1, we were winning football, so that makes it easy for the fans to cheer. 2, same thing in Green Bay. Even though it was a rough season, we went 9-7. But we were changing because the changing in the guard was happening between, you know, they had those 2 Super Bowl years where they went and won and went and lost, and now new coaching staff in. So it's kind of transitioning to another leadership in the locker room too, between myself, Brett, guys like Donald Driver, Gilbert Brown were still playing, and us learning from them. And then once I got really going, and you talk about, you know, me getting going in my career, getting to that record of being an all-time leading rusher, for me,
it was just all about my teammates around me. It was, for one, my offensive line, my big guys up front. So I got a team here today that's helping with this stream, and everybody with this event. I look at, I don't do what I do by myself. Me being a running back, I didn't become a all-time leading rusher or a good running back in NFL by myself. I became because of Mike Flanagan, Mike Wall, Chad Clifton, Mark Tauscher, Kelvin Berry, Marco Rivera, to name a few. And then, Bubba Franks, Robert Ferguson, Javon Walker, Donald Driver, guys like that, catching the ball, blocking downfield. Brett, himself, Matt Hasselbeck was a teammate for that little bit of time. Brett, seeing running down the field, go, chop block a guy, stuff that Coach Sherman didn't like for him to do, but he would go do it because he's a football player. So my teammates around me helped. That was the reason why we did what we did, and what I did too, because I already knew at age 5, when my brothers was teaching me how to be a running back, they told me a running back is nobody without their offensive lineman. And so it's always a group around you that's going to support you on some level that gets you to your goals and makes your job a little bit easier. So that's for me, that's the main reason why I'm the Packers all-time leading rusher, and we had the success that we had for those years.
That's a very humble response, but you were a beast. You were an absolute beast. I speak for all these Packer fans when I say thank you for the memories. It's been super fun. It was awesome watching you play. It's very cool that you're here. We're going to open it up to some questions. If you guys have questions, if you want to, I'll come down with the mic. You guys want to do that? We are going to talk about gaming. Don't worry, we'll talk about gaming post-career, but I do want to get some questions in with these guys. You want the mic, or do you want to ask it? I'll come down.
Yeah. And we're streaming right now on my podcast, Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. This is episode 289.
Wow.
And I talk about gaming. I was an esports coach with Lakeland University in Plymouth, Wisconsin, and then at the University of Nebraska. So that's where I started podcasting and learning this area, right? Learning this platform, how to commentate and have a talk, how to answer questions and all that fun stuff, where I teach kids how to do that. That's part of my job today.
It's good. We're going to talk more about that. We'll start here.
What is your most memorable Lambeau leap?
Oh, memorable. Oh, that's easy. It might have been year 1, maybe year 2, but it was south end zone. I scored a touchdown, went up in the stands, and I hadn't had no problems. This was the first one, even though, Packer fans come in the game, they already got their stack or whatever. If it's the Miller Lite, Bud Light, they got that going. But the first time I got Miller Lite poured down my back during the game, because they were cheering, but it was probably an accident because they're grabbing me and all that. And I think one lady got a little too grabby too at the same time. And then the whole bottle of whatever they had went right down my back. And so, and it was a warm game too. It was already hot. It was still September. And that Miller Lite it kind of cooled me off, but was a shock to the system then. And again, like I said, then somebody got a little grabby, and then didn't want to give me back my football. I said, hey, you gotta give me back my football. I gave my football to my wife after every touchdown. So I was like, you better give me that ball. Hurry up, give me that ball back. You gotta go somewhere else. But I'll say that one was my memorable one.
Any other
memorable
questions?
moment?
I know there weren't many, but what was the defensive player that you just hated to play against?
Shoot. I would say, if not in our locker room, and it wasn't really because he was a problem. He was for most, but not me, because my offensive line took care of him. But Warren Sapp was the guy, because he was a big trash talker. And I learned how to ignore that back in high school. And so, but the problem was, he would always trash talk with my quarterback, because Brett always wanted to be talking to him. And I'm like, Brett, get to the, I'm younger than this guy, right? He's won Super Bowls, I haven't. And I'm like, get to the huddle, man. You need to be focused on the next play and the play call Coach Sherman gives to you. Why are you talking to this dude? He's trying to do it to get in your head, and he knew all that. He's like, I'm just having fun of mine. Just let me be. I'm like, no, I'm not. I need you focused. Focus in. Stop talking to Sapp over here. So, but he was one of many. Yeah, one of many that I was like, oh my God, this guy can be a problem if he gets into a groove of a game, having a good game.
So I want to touch on this, because we talked sneakers over there earlier. I'm born and raised from Eau Claire, own a card shop here in town. but I also worked with Sneaker News for 5 years doing partnerships in New York. So at one point had 650 pairs of sneakers. I was very lucky to meet Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan handpicked you.
Right.
We touched on that before. He handpicked you to be a part of Team Jordan. Can you talk about maybe an interaction with Michael, talk about his greatness combined with, you know, your career and what that was like to just have a brush with him?
Yeah. So Michael Jordan was my equivalent to Bo Jackson or Marcus Allen or Walter Payton. That was my guy outside of football, right? Because I played everything as a kid. I played football, I played basketball, I ran track. And so having him do that and tell me that he did that, you know, I met him. The first time I met him was at 2004 NBA All-Star Game in Denver. And we got picked up in the truck, and he's in the second row. I sat in the back, and he's telling me, "Hey, man, nice meeting you." He's like, "Yeah, I picked you myself. I saw, you know, what you did at Nebraska." You know, that part was like, whoa, he's been watching me for a while, because this was 2003, and that was 1998, 1997, 96, 95. You know, I'm like, wow, okay. I'm like, cool. He said, "Then I seen what you've been doing here in Green Bay. Fantastic." He says, "So I only pick the best of what they do, you know, in terms of being a football player or being a running back or being a wide receiver. You know, that's what I do. That's why we have the Brand Jordan team." And I'm like, I just like, thank you, I appreciate that, because that's part of my hard work was towards, you know, just being acknowledged that, you know, my hard work, just like any other football player or any other athlete, the other hard work is trying to get to that championship, you know, get a ring. And you know, beyond that, that's a big honor having somebody from another sport that is a legend to GOAT to say, "Hey, I picked you to be on, you know, a team that I have." I said that wasn't much he could say after that made me happy from that. The other cool thing was after that, we went into a conversation about how him and his wife were spoiling his kids with cars and stuff like that. He told him, "Hey, I just try to get a simple used car for my son, but then Juanita wanted me to buy him this car." So we're going back and forth. So it was just cool. We're talking about family after that. You know, at that time, my kids were young. They were 4 and 5 years old. So I was like, I'm not in that age bracket yet where I gotta go look for cars. But I was like, I'm hanging out with one of my favorite athletes, and we're just talking family stuff right now. I'm like, this doesn't get any better than that. So just show, you know, that he knew who he was. And he's, to me, what I experienced then and other times we met, always down to earth, always asking about my family, how they doing, and then asking how I'm doing, and then seeing what's ahead for me in the future.
Sure. So I was lucky to meet him and talk to him for 45 minutes. He was very humble. You're very humble. We've been chatting a little bit. Can you talk about staying humble? Talk about some advice for these young athletes here to stay hungry and humble, and you know, what would you tell the younger you, and we got some kids here and the adults that could take some advice here on how to be great?
I'll say you said the younger me. What I would say to the younger Ahman was would be ask more questions. I say I was a quiet kid, and it was mostly because I was shy. But I would say in some instances, as I grew up, you know, when I got to Nebraska, it was things I wanted to do different, like baseball, and I never really. And I brought it up on my visit there as a high school athlete, but it never happened while I was a player there. So I think I would have asked more questions to get myself on the baseball diamond, because I think I would have had a good experience, but also I would have been able to play some good baseball. And so I wish I would have spoke up more for myself in that aspect of it. But for young athletes in the room, between respecting yourself as an athlete, respecting your coaches, your parents, and teachers too, you got to understand that's your support system. And when you have your mom, your dad, or older brother, older sister, you know, an uncle or a cousin, somebody that's supporting you, you got to respect them and use that support to know that you don't do it by yourself. You know, so, and it makes it easier. I say it made it easier for me to know that when I always thought everything was on myself. Obviously, it feels a little harder. When you think, oh man, I'm doing this by myself, it's harder. But just know in the back of your head, you have your mom, your dad, your uncle, your brother, a best friend, somebody that's helping you out, supporting you, whatever you're doing. Just know that there's people behind you that you have to have. You have to have there. One, like your mom and dad's gonna be there regardless if you want to or not. And some of the things they say now, you may not want to hear it, but it's the truth.
and take that truth and take it as a learning experience. And because that's how I took the truths from my mom and dad. They used to share with me about things. You know, one funny one was I remember my one and only rage quit on a game. I was playing Madden, and I threw the controller. It was a Sega Genesis controller. It fell on, hit the TV, it hit the ground. My mom comes in the room. She's like, "Boy, what's all that racket going on?" I said, "The game's cheating me. I threw the ball to Jerry Rice. He's supposed to catch the ball. He's the best receiver in the NFL. He catches everything." She's like, "Okay." She looked on the floor. She said, "You break it, you buy it." I was like, "Oh." I was about 10 years old. I knew what that meant. I'm like, I'm broke. I'm 10. I ain't got no money. All right. So I got to fix that. She's like, "Yeah, you better figure it out." I'm like, "Oh, I got to figure it out." So I did. I went to my dad. My dad was IT. And so I went, he had a screwdriver, he had a soldering iron, he had some black electric tape. It took me all about 15 minutes to get the controller took apart, reassembled, and got the button to work. It was the B button. I didn't have to buy no new Sega Genesis controller, but I learned my lesson, right? You know, calm your your temper. Can't get mad at a game. It's the game. You know, even if it's in real life, referee throws a flag. You know what? It's a flag. We got to deal with it. Move on to the next play. You know, don't let the emotion kick in, because then you'll be off of your game, stuff like that. And then respect your opponent, right? You can't, like, I know in gaming, you know, in the lobby, there's a lot of trash talk and a lot of toxicity, as we call it, right? But no, you got, regardless of who you know or who you don't know that you're playing against, you got to respect what they're doing, because all the times you've been practicing to get better at, if it's Fortnite or if it's FC soccer or if it's Madden, you put in time, right? And so now you got to have respect to that player to say, you know, I'm going to play my best, you play your best. And then at the end of the game, you know, good game, just GG's, not no rice crack, not no disrespect, because you're going to have a time. Shoot, I was just playing Madden a few days ago, and I got destroyed 41-7. All right. So trust me, lesson learned. And I'm 49. And so I'm still not the best at Madden, but I'm going to keep playing. And I played that whole game out. I played it all the way to the end. And I was down 21-0 before halftime, but I kept playing. And I finally scored a touchdown at the end, in the fourth quarter. I was like, yes, these are got that. It's something. You know, this guy is not really good. I mean, not the best, but at least I did this. You know, but he ruled me that rest game. But I was like, hey, I just text him on the thing. Hey, GG's, good job. You kicked my butt. Now I got to get ready for the next game. So on that instance, in terms of being online or in person, you got to have that mindset. You're not going to win every game, even if you're on a really good team. You're going to lose once or twice, but learn from that loss. That's the best. We already talked about it. The best education is learning from a mistake or learning from a loss. You can take that information and then turn it into something positive. That's going to help you better than winning games as well.
For sure. It's good advice. You know, you talked about team and togetherness and family and, you know, just having that. I always love the quote, a great support system gives you courage. You know, it allows you to continue to pursue something. And, you know, you look at Sam Darnold, who just won a Super Bowl.
That was awesome.
This man was kicked down. You know, he's picked 3rd overall by the Jets, bounced around a bunch. And he credited his parents of just always believing and always, you know, and trusting in yourself and your hard work to get to that point. And I even saw after the game, they said, you know, talk about your Super Bowl champion. He goes, well, I could have played better. Never mind. We won it all. That's awesome. You know, like he was working on the next, you know, the next thing. So can you talk about, you know, by the time you got done playing, you obviously have a great connection with the fans. You have a great personality. Talk about the next phase of your career, then getting into gaming, the podcasting. You know, now you're doing it. You're here on behalf of Gaming Generations, but here to connect with people, and gaming is all about community. Talk about the desire to build a community, and now this phase of your career.
Yeah, so you know, after football, I got time, right? I got the time that I want to spend either with my family or friends, or, you know, with new friends like you all here. And I start going to cons. The first couple of cons I went to were kind of the bigger ones. It was E3 out in Los Angeles, San Diego Comic-Con in San Diego, California, DreamHack Dallas, DreamHack Atlanta, PAX East West. So PAX East is in Boston, PAX West is in Seattle. And I started hanging out and just getting to know people there at each event, you know, year over year, and just learned that the community is not much different than, you know, being in a neighborhood or being in the football locker room. You know, it was getting to recognize faces, sharing my story. They share their story, where they're from, what got them into gaming, you know, meeting people from EA, meeting people from Activision, just meeting gamers from other parts of the world and other parts of the United States was very cool. We all play the same games, so we had something in common, but you had people that was from Texas, from Florida, from Miami, from South America, from England, from Australia that I met, and they're flying in from those countries to come to this event. And it's really a really good shared experience because it's all kind of the commonality of learning how to get better or learning how to beat the game. And we talk about, on the old school games, like retro games, like Legend of Zelda, it's like we didn't have no strategy guide. We didn't have an instruction manual to get through the game. You just figured it out with Link. You eventually had to memorize the map to know where to go or where not to go. Because if you go into one area, it will pop in and it has those little monsters running around shooting a little fire, and then you're done because you don't have no shield. So it's just like working through that and talking about it and laughing about it. And so that's where I knew gaming is something that is always going to be here. And then once we had COVID and esports kind of got put on front stage where it could actually have legs, have arms, and start to grow and have communities behind it, bigger communities, kind of like the NFL community and I say pro sports community, baseball, basketball, Olympics, because I know here in a few years, just like girls flag football and flag football for guys too, the Olympics is going to have esports in the 2028 Olympics. So that'll be something for any young people in here to know that that's coming. That's going to be real. And so, like I said, I coached at the college level where esports programs are sprouting up around the country. I know all over Wisconsin, between I know Whitewater to Eau Claire here to Lakeland, Wisconsin, UW Milwaukee, they and high schools in Green Bay and Milwaukee area, and even here they have esports teams, and they have a state championship every, I think late April, early May, either in Madison or somewhere in the Milwaukee area. So there's opportunities, there's scholarships for kids that play Fortnite, for kids that play Call of Duty, for kids that play League of Legends, Madden, 2K. Those are it's real. It's not just a figure, just me talking about it. It's a real. If you reach out to that school or go to their website and Google search esports programs in Wisconsin, you'll see where they popped up. There are scholarship opportunities. And so part of the reason I'm not coaching no more was the fact that I saw a discrepancy where esports programs were lacking resources. They, football, baseball, basketball has been around for 100 years, if not longer. So they have the whole support system. They have an athletic department. They have coaches. They have GMs. They have assistant coaches. Esports don't have that. Esports, I was the director, the head coach, the counselor, the commentator, the shoutcaster. When we did our streams, it was me, Coach Green. I'm streaming League of Legends. Never played it, but I'm casting it right now. Right then and then and there. So it's stuff like that. Year 1, 2020, that I was like, this community needs help. And so I started spreading awareness about it, spreading the words I just told you, that we need more people that want to step up and either be coaches or be assistants or just be somebody that kind of supports in some way. Programs need equipment. They need PCs. They need the cameras. They need microphones. They need Xboxes, PlayStation, things like that, because a lot of universities are not putting towards the finance to support them. But if you get more people behind that, then they'll start to grow and gain momentum. Because I know they're doing it in Europe, overseas. Overseas is 100% supported. They have the Esports World Cup. If you ever watch that online, that's over in the Middle East, and that's a full support system. And that's all for the games that we play here and then some. And so if they could do that, I know we could do this here over here in America. Is it a big step? Is it a big ask? Yes, it's a lot of hard work. Yep. But I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to start momentum here where I can, between the Midwest. I live in Houston now in Texas, and I'm connecting down there with people that are in my space that want to help esports get among the youth, because that's where it starts and then grows from there. And then it helps other aspects of the video game world to get attention, on different platforms. The one thing about today that is, I say some of the good stuff is social media. When you use your social media, it can still send out those that information to people to know that you could do this and we could get it done on a bigger scale.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's awesome that you're an advocate for gaming. You're doing that. We love the content. It's very cool to hear the stories. You're a big advocate for the game of football as well.
Yep.
And we know you carry the G on your on your helmet.
Oh,
with
yeah.
pride. So we appreciate you very much. We are going to wrap up. He'll be signing from 4 to 6. He'll also be signing tomorrow. Will not be signing on Sunday. He'll be gaming, hanging out on Sunday as well. But everybody, I'm actually going to treat, on behalf of For the Hobby, our card shop here in town, every one of you kids, I'm going to hook you guys up with an auto of this man right here. I'll treat you guys to that. I got some custom cards as well, so we'll hook you guys up. But I want to say thank you to Ahman. Ahman, thank you for Gaming Generations. Thank you for Dan and Collectors Con for having Ahman here. What a privilege! What an honor to have him. So thank you to him. Everybody, give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I add in one thing? Yep. So in one of, like I was just talking about with esports program. So one of my initiatives I just started is called the Digital Divide Initiative, and that's where I have this shirt here over at the tables. It's comes in black here, white, and green, and so that is to raise money so I can help. I got a couple partnerships that I'll be able to use to help put esports rooms in either boys and girls clubs or high schools or elementary schools around the nation. I work with a group out of North Carolina called Stay Plugged In right now. So with their group, we collaborate with raising funds to then put esports rooms in places like I just mentioned. And right now, one is going to get launched later this year, I think in the summer, is Menominee University that's just right outside of Green Bay in Shawano, Wisconsin. They're going to get their first esports room, which is a tribe with, I'm Choctaw Nation. So that tribe, we all work together. I know one of their people that worked and got it, cleared this we just found a few weeks ago, they cleared for all their esports equipment to get bought later this summer. So that's awesome. Kind of the first. Yeah,
so grab a t-shirt. Also, he'll be signing, so he'll be over here hanging with you guys. But thank you. Give it up one more time for Ahman Green.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take that from you.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Oh.
Hey, kiddos, come over here. My friend Tyler over there. We're going to get you guys a card, and then I'm going to...
And I